who's doing this 100% donation policy, typed it in, boom, okay, I had a hand. Now it's the data which I need from the actual organization. So I need to contact them and get the information from them. And that was kind of encountered with a lot of kind of like hostility. He lost his cool, okay, and he just burst out in a fit of rage at the caller. And he said, look, if you can do it, and you can do a better job than what we can, and you can do it for free, then why don't you come and just do it? 99% of the time, it's going to be a system.
Exactly.
Why? Because they find that male donors are more inclined to give if it's a female asking.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuhu. Guys, welcome back to another episode of Under the Pomegranate Tree. I'm your host, Ateiq Rahman, and today I am joined with a very special guest, somebody I've heard a lot about in the past, but I'm meeting for the first time, and hopefully somebody that I'll be leaning on in the future, inshallah, as I continue my own personal studies. I have with me Dr. Shahrul Hussain. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah.
Alaikum assalam wa rahmatullah. Thank you so much for your kind words and this lovely introduction. Thank you.
How are you doing, Sheikh?
I'm well, thank you. I'm well.
MashaAllah, MashaAllah. Thank you for coming down and joining us on our humble podcast.
Well, thank you for the invitation. Thank you. It's my pleasure and my honor. Thank you.
Barakallah feekum. Sheikh, you have been active within the community for quite some time now. You founded, multiple organizations. I actually worked at one of your organizations.
Okay.
Abrahamic Foundation.
Oh, subhanallah.
Yeah.
What a small world. Sorry, what a small world.
Yeah.
Okay, so.
I was only there for a small stint.
Okay.
But me and Maulana Nasir go back quite a long way.
Fantastic.
He's from Mouldy as well, both Leeds sides.
That's
and then
correct, yes.
He left us and went up to Small Leeds, and I was like, what are you doing over there? And he goes, you need to come, we're doing some amazing work.
Alhamdulillah.
So, mashallah, barakallah feekum.
Good.
Sheikh, for those people who may not be familiar with you or the first time seeing you, if you can give us a bit of a background and maybe a bit of your background in Islamic scholarship as well, inshallah.
Exactly. So my name is Shahrul Hussain, and I studied at the third oldest Darul Uloom in the United Kingdom. It's a Darul Uloom that's on in Small Heath and Coventry Road. So that's where I started off, and I finished my course there. After finishing there, I won a scholarship to study at the University of Al-Azhar in Egypt. So after winning that scholarship, I went and stayed in Egypt for 5 years, completed my undergraduate degree from the university, and then from the Faculty of Islamic Law and Jurisprudence. And after finishing my studies there, I returned back to the UK, pursued my postgraduate education, and completed my doctorate in the United Kingdom, alhamdulillah.
MashaAllah, MashaAllah. So, doctor in academia then?
Correct, yes, alhamdulillah.
Because, here in Birmingham, when you say doctor, it's like, okay, what's he, a heart surgeon or a brain surgeon or something like that? Barakallah feekum. So, of all of that, I didn't realize you studied in Small Heath, Coventry Road. Yeah. MashaAllah. So, you did your full Alamiya program over there?
That's right, yes.
Okay, subhanallah. And then you did another additional 5 years in Egypt.
Oh, yes.
Alhamdulillah.
Alhamdulillah. And then came back and pursued for another 6 years trying to complete my postgraduate. Yeah.
Subhanallah. Subhanallah. So there you go, guys. For all you graduates who've done 6 years and think, okay, I'm a Maulana Sahab now. This is a living proof, mashallah, that you gotta continue your studies, mashallah.
Learning never finishes. Yeah,
learning never finishes, man.
And anybody thinks that his learning is done and he's learned a scholar and he's reached, the state of being a scholar, really hasn't understood the essence of knowledge and what it means to learn, and that you're a perpetual student of Islam till the moment you die. So,
and may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala keep us in this field.
Ameen.
Right? Because it's an amazing thing, the amount of barakat that come with it as well, as soon as you study.
Yeah.
Alhamdulillah. And Sheikh, as I mentioned, you founded multiple institutes as well. So how did this begin, and what are some of the stuff that you've been involved in since? You're still studying, right? But we're always studying. But...
Correct. So the institute that I'm currently affiliated to is called the Ibn Rushd Center of Excellence for Islamic Research. And so this is a specialist multidisciplinary center of excellence for Islamic research. And in particular, our focus is academic Islamic research. So look, there are 2 points here. number one, who is doing currently the research in the United Kingdom? Okay, so if you look at the universities do our research, and you look at the Islamic Studies department, and you see some of the figures there, I think you'll easily come to your conclusion in the research that's been done and who's conducting it and some of the outcomes. That's one thing. The second thing is, see, research is such an important part. If you look at Islam and Muslims, where we were in the world, what the non-Muslim historians call our golden age, al-Asr al-Dhahabi, what they call that was the time where Muslims peaked. And the reason why they peaked is because they engaged themselves in research. And these scholars still, their contribution that they made centuries ago are still relevant in modern day physics, chemistry, biology. These theories are still studied now and celebrated, and nobody can deny this amazing contribution they made. So research is about going and looking at problem, seeing where a problem is, and trying to come with a solution, or trying to work out how things work and what can be done. So, society moves and advances because of research, and society stagnates and declines because of lack of research. And we can see this evidently in where we are now. So if I were to ask you as a Muslim, where do you see, in terms of the globe, where do you see, or which country do you see as the more advanced countries? Your answer would be, what would you say? The more advanced countries are which ones?
The ones who are most advanced in technology.
And which ones would they be?
Probably China, India, America.
Right. So you look at the Western world, right? You look at Europe. Okay, and if you look at them, if you look at the Western world, America, China, they engaged in one thing, and that's research. And they pour not millions but billions of pounds to research, because that's what advances a civilization. That's what advances a country and advances people. And that's where we were, right at the top, right? And if you look now, if I would ask you, which countries are in decline, which countries are stagnant and they're not progressing, I mean, you'd point, to many countries, but the ones that you would point to are the Muslim countries. You can point to many other countries, but they're poor, okay, and they're struggling to survive. A lot of the Muslim countries are quite rich, and yet they're not advancing because of lack of research. So research is really important. And what the research, why this institute is so relevant, is there are particular problems within the British Muslim community, British Muslim society, that do need addressing. And you can't come up with a solution until you have data, until you have knowledge and information. Once you've collated this knowledge and this information, and then you've analyzed it, now you've identified what the problems are. And once you've identified what the problems are, you can come up with a solution. So research is so important. It's the way we further ourselves, the way we advance ourselves, and culturally, intellectually, and that's why it's so important. And we need more of these institutions rather than have fewer.
Mashallah, Jazakumullah khair. I can see you're very passionate about this as well. So the 2 points, obviously, just off the back of that, obviously, you're saying that Muslim countries and Muslim civilizations in the past have been the forerunners for this research, right? So I want to talk a bit about why that isn't the case now, right? And because obviously you're talking about the golden age, we're talking about Basra, Kufa, and all these places, right? That where Islam was being, not only Islam, but sciences as a whole were being developed, right?
Yeah.
But those places got bombed to smithereens, not too long ago in our lifetime.
That's correct.
Right? So I want to talk a bit about those factors, and then also, if you can just start with that for now.
Yeah, I mean, look, they made many theories, and many people might come up with their own ideas or thoughts of this. I personally see this as where Muslims were reduced themselves from being pioneers, from being leaders, into being consumers. So rather than kind of manufacture something, come up with a solution, come up with a product and sell it to somebody else, we've become consumers. And that's what we've reduced ourselves to. So rather than us pursuing research, trying to advance ourselves, We thought that's it. We've got what we wanted to do, okay, and we just stagnated. So we failed to pursue excellence in knowledge and learning. What we start to do now is parrot back from books to people, and we don't encourage creativity and thought. And the governments don't invest money because research requires a lot of money. Remember, if you look at the Western world, there's not millions, it's literally in billions. I couldn't give you even a figure, that's how much. It literally is in billions where society contributes. I mean, look, do you think any product, any either clothing item, let's just say the famous brands, I don't know, are we allowed to mention any brands?
Yeah.
So let's take Nike or Adidas. Do you think these brands produce just going to the manufacturing process and just start to put some shoes together? Before they don't do that. Before they come up with something, they spend lots of money designing the product, researching it, trying it, changing, altering it before they come to the final product. And that's called research and development, R&D. What they term is R&D, research and development. So any facet of life, if you look in the Western world, it's always based on research. Why is China so advanced? And this is a country which we've seen the rise of it. Well, probably not us, but definitely from my mother's age or my father.
Yeah.
Okay, they see. So this country is a very, very young country, and yet it's, dominated, and it's going to be the superpower. It's just a matter of time. You can see the decline of the current superpower. And, even our country, the United Kingdom, it was a superpower upon a time, and look where it is now. And the Muslim world was a superpower upon a time, and look where it is now. So power never stays the same. But anyway, come back to the China point. The point is that the reason why they advanced was because of research. And any country which engages itself with research is a country which advances itself. And just one thing I'm saying is that, say, why have we stagnated ourselves?
Yeah.
Look, you can see it within our universities. Look at throughout all the universities, and dare I say, I love my university here, the University of Al-Azhar. But if you look at that, the pushing out of research could be far better. If you look at all the other Islamic universities throughout the world, research and research factor is lacking. It's changing now. I think they've realized, but they're so behind.
Would you say it's because they're still dependent on the research that was done historically? Yes. They're still trying to decipher that and write shutters on that and make that accessible without advancing their own research?
I think it's just a lack of culture.
Okay.
I think the culture isn't there. Like at universities, right? If you're at university and an academic at a university and you're not engaged in research, your career at the university is going to come to an end. Okay, either you'll be reduced down to just teaching, okay, and admin work, and you're never ever going to get up. Okay, never ever kind of get promoted and move up in the ladder. The only time when you do something and progress is in research, because that's what university is all about, research. If you look at Islamic and Muslim research institutions, whether they're Islamic or non-Islamic, okay, where are they pushing the boundaries of knowledge and innovation and creativity in whatever field they are in? Okay, it can be something like architecture, agriculture. That aspect just doesn't come. There is no innovation. There is no kind of production of anything. We just become a consumer. So what we do at universities is just teach.
It's become like a undergraduate pedagogy sort of culture, right? Where you preach what you know, rather than going back to the drawing board and say, where can we move? Where can we moving forward?
That's it.
No, it makes perfect sense. I still feel as though my answer's still there, though.
Okay.
My question is still hanging a little bit. The why. What do you think was the main cause? I understand that we went from the pioneers of creating stuff to becoming the consumers. What happened? What was the catalyst to this shift? Was it as our Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam previously predicted, hubbud dunya wa karahiyatul maut, that they were going to love for the dunya, and they just got so involved in it maybe got comfortable doing it? Or was it because of maybe of some other factors, as I mentioned before, the wars and the things like that? Because I heard stories about what happened in Iraq where they went and they strategically bombed the universities and they got rid of all the scriptures and the scrolls of the past.
The Mongols did that. That's correct.
So would you care to comment on that?
Yeah, I mean, just briefly. I mean, look, the way you demolish a nation is by demolishing its education system, and that's what colonialism was about, and that's what you can see with the recent conflict, where they actually demolished places of education which really have nothing to do with anything they fight, but they demolished it, and that's what people always did. Regarding why that is, look, there might be several theories. I'll be honest with you, I'm not really sure which part in history, how the decline started, at what point it started to decline. But usually scholars in that, they blame what we know in Arabic term as taqlid. So it's not taqlid in the literal sense of following qualified scholarship, because that's not a problem. The problem was like, you know what, just reducing yourself to the lacking consumer status and lacking that creativity. So, you know, if I were to ask you this, what was the latest Muslim invention that had a global impact that you can think of?
I'd probably go towards medicine.
Which is?
Maybe, you know, like, I can't remember the exact name, but the guy who developed, the sheikh who developed the concept of the way the eye
right,
goes.
Okay, Khwarizmi. Right, okay, good. So, okay, so look, that's going back centuries, right?
Yeah, exactly.
So those are the people with the golden age, Abu Musa, Gabir ibn Hayyan, for example, the alchemy. You know, alchemists, these people are the pioneers, and their work is so relevant now. Okay, so relevant now. The astronomers, it's amazing what these contributions did, and how Western science and Western scholarship have taken their knowledge and built on it and furthered themselves and advanced themselves. So it's going to. So you're right. So that's my point.
Yeah.
That's my point. So we've kind of like, there's a massive disconnect, and we're so behind. I don't know if we can possibly kind of like catch up on Allah knows best.
No, Jazakumullah khair. Thank you. I just had to open that up a little bit, because I don't like to have just the one narrative that, okay, we were once great and we're not anymore. I want to try and understand, you know, what it is, because I'm all about, you know, youth work.
Yes.
So I like to talk to my youngsters, and I like to, you know, I like to think that we're trying to create the leaders of tomorrow.
Yes.
And the only way we can do that is if you remind them of things like this, so remind them of our past, and say, this is the pedigree of people that we are from. So what's going wrong? Why are we now reducing ourselves to guys who are just waiting for the next universal credit payment to come in, or this, that, and the other? We want to be pioneers. We want to create that. So I love this topic. Let's just move forward a bit now, inshallah, just for the purpose of progression, inshallah. So, mashallah, you said you started Ibn Rushd, right? And alhamdulillah, it sounds amazing and great. Was there any sort of anything specific, which, as you mentioned, you said that there's loads of challenges in today's society which need addressing, which need research on and need support with. Was there anything specific that spurred you to start Ibn Rushd, or was it just like a catalogue of things?
You know, I think the need of it, coming from an academic background, from academia and university, and seeing how the research world worked, and how the impact of, or what the impact of research is to us as Muslims, as British Muslims, and seeing that there's just a massive gap. I said, you know, we need to do something. Here's an example. So, you know, the burial system that we have in the United Kingdom, that's come under review now. Because it's so expensive, many people are turning towards cremation. So from the Sikh community and the Hindu community, it's a part of their religious duties and rights for them to have cremation. Christianity isn't, but they are moving towards cremation because it's a cheaper form of burial. But the Jews and the Muslims can't do that. Okay, so we still have to be buried. So now the government wants to understand the policies that they want to make going forward. So guess who they've commissioned to do a research about understanding burial issues, in particular to Muslims?
Mashallah, is that Ibn Rushd?
No, okay. It's a non-Muslim academic from Oxford University.
Okay.
So my point is this, okay, that you see that gap?
Of course, yeah.
Right? So Muslim issue, there is nobody better to understand Muslim issue than Muslims. Okay, and yet and you can't blame the government, because these people are ministers. They're not educated in the fields of Islam, and they couldn't be educated in everything. But they do need to make a decision, and they do need to make policies and rules and laws. So they need information. So they rely on universities, because that's the place.
Okay.
So that's kind of like, you can see where these are the issues which kind of was the motivation behind us doing something. We have to get up and do something. Otherwise, there are so many problems in our society. And if we don't come out with a solution to them, then we're going to be in problem. And don't get me wrong, I mean, it's not all about coming out with solutions. It's sometimes even pushing the boundaries of knowledge, pushing the boundaries of epistemology. How do you know what we know? Why do you know it? How do you know it? Being inquisitive, investigating things more. So it just can be research or knowledge to increase the stock of human knowledge. And that's not a bad thing as well. So not everything has an impact. Mm-hmm. So some of our research about philosophy and theology doesn't have an impact as such, but it does add to the stock of human knowledge, which is an excellent part of research. But my particular research is what I call applied jurisprudence. So what I do is I look at contemporary problems, in particular as British Muslims, what we face in this country, and then I look at the classical books of Islamic law, and I see what we're doing, does it match and conform to the classical interpretation of Islamic law. And that's my kind of like area of interest, I'll say.
Yeah, mashallah. And I know you've gone into different topics as well throughout your time, and hopefully, inshallah, we can get you on a bit more to discuss some of these topics and open them up, because, these, as you mentioned, these are things which are affecting our communities, and they're things that need to be spoken about and also highlighted to say, look, this is some of the issues that we're facing, and these could be some of the remedies. And it needs to be spoken about by the right types of people. Yeah. We're getting current affairs being addressed with, like, just a standard TikTok influencer, this, that, and the other. And unfortunately, they've got the massive following, they've got the 100,000 followers, and people are just following their type of narrative. We need academics like yourself, people who have put in the actual hours of research, with a sound mind coming in and saying, okay, now let's look at this holistically now, and let's put a proper solution in place. And I hope to unpack a few of them. I have set aside a topic for today, as we've mentioned before. But before I go into that, because you're talking about academia, you're talking about research and studying, and I wouldn't class myself as an academic. I wouldn't. I would study. I'm studying currently. I'm in the research, but again, I'm what you'd probably call is aspiring to be a naqil mufti. So we just want to like go off all the stuff that's already been studied. I don't feel in my current capacity that I'll be able to add anything new, right? Just being totally honest here and frank, I don't consider myself an academic that can do it, but I'm still love the work that you do. So what is it about somebody like myself who may not have the brains, right, to do a lot of it, but we want to support your work and things like that? What type of advice would you give to somebody like me who wants to make an impact, who's working for the youth of tomorrow to try and create positive leaders, and just want to help support something like this, support the pioneering and making you've heard the saying, let's make Britain great again. How are we going to make Islam great again?
Well, thank you for that question. I'll tell you, first and foremost, okay, for anybody watching this podcast, the most important thing that as British Muslims that we need is financial support for all our institutions. And it's because we're not really working together that our institutions are suffering. And if we as a kind of like a British Muslim community manage to unite, and we can kind of pool our resources and support these organizations, it'll be a much more stronger community. I think that's one thing that anybody can do is financially support these organizations, and all these organizations to the best of their ability. And the thing about it is that you don't have to give hundreds of pounds. tens of pounds, £5. Yeah, it's just, even if you can afford £1, £2, £3, something just as small as that, as little as that, right? That just makes so much of an impact. And when you do this en masse, it just helps so much. The second thing is, support these organizations through voluntary action. So voluntary helping, supporting these organizations when they're having their conferences, when they're having some of their activities and the events, being there in terms of support. That's really an important thing. And then those people who are interested, there's of pursuing a career in research and really want to go into advanced academic research, our doors are completely open, inshallah. And, we'll hold your hands and hopefully guide you and teach you how to conduct research and produce research, the research methodologies. And that's done.
Jazakumullah khair. So obviously financial support, physical support by volunteering and stuff like that, just helping, because obviously the logistics on these events and stuff like that need support. And then inshallah, I think once my studies are completed over here, why not? I'll pop on down to Al Rushd and maybe you can guide me a bit further, inshallah. Because I wanna, I know I don't have, the sharpest brain in the box, right? But I want to apply it to whatever capacity I can. At least that way I can say, Ya Allah, look, you said, you told your Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, tell us, talabul ilmi faridatun ala kulli Muslim. So that was one avenue I tried to pursue, inshallah, to whatever capacity. Jazakumullah khair. Okay then, Sheikh, let's open up this topic now. So, as I mentioned, you've opened up loads of different topics. One of your current researches, which I saw from your website, Ibn Rushd Foundation, is this 100% donation policy, right? Again, this is something I'm quite passionate about.
Right.
So I might have a few things that I would like to ask, maybe to do with the charity sector. But in your own words, Sheikh, just open it up for us, introduce the topic. What spurred you to do the research into this 100% donation policy?
Okay. Thank you, Hamza, for that question. It's a beautiful question. So before I say anything, I must I don't know if it's a disclaimer or just want to make some kind of clarification. And this is not something as lip service, it's something I really believe from the bottom of my heart. I personally believe that the work that the charities do is absolutely marvelous. They work really hard. I'm friends with so many fundraisers and people working in the charity sector. And I know the amount of hard work that they go through, the pain, the toil, that they go through, the hardship that they face. And my research is in no way trying to diminish their hard work or tarnish what they have done or what they are doing in any sense of the word. In fact, I really literally kiss their hands, okay, because they do a job which I am unable to do. I believe that, if you look at the hukm of sadaqah in Islam, it's nafal, right? If you do, you get thawab. If you don't, then khalas, that's your loss, right? But sometimes this sadaqah, which is a voluntary thing, has a moral obligation. It might not have a shari'i one, but a moral one, right? What do I mean by moral one? It might not have a direct khitab of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, that if you don't do it, then you're going to get punished in hell, okay, which is established by texts from the Quran or Hadith. There is a moral obligation, though, which you can't deny. So, for example, let's take what's going on in the Gaza situation. Are you telling me, or can anybody tell me, that British Muslims or Muslims living in well-off countries, in well-off situation, don't have an obligation, and I'm going to caveat it with saying moral obligation, to do what they can do by dipping their hands into the pockets and giving and trying to help, okay, the people in Gaza? Are you trying to tell me, or can you possibly tell me, that a person in such a situation where he's in affluence, I'm not talking about the poor who don't have any money, but I'm talking about people who are doing well, they've got at least £1, £2 to spare, they don't do anything, they don't give fi sabilillah in aid of their Muslim brothers in Gaza? Are you trying to tell me, or you can possibly tell me, that that person won't be answerable in front of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala on the day of judgment?
No, 100%.
That's right. So if that's the case, this means whenever we have a natural disaster or any kind of disaster, there is an obligation upon us who have extra money to give what we can to help those people in distress. So my question is now, if this is a moral obligation upon me, I'm in trouble. Why am I in trouble? Because I'll be honest with you, I don't have the time, the capacity, the knowledge, or the know-how, how to take my money and deliver it to those people there. And this is where the charity sector comes in. Ya Rabbi, may Allah bless them and bless all the brothers and sisters working, etc. Who take my money, right, and like deliver aid to those distressed and have kind of like help me, okay, to answer Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala on the day of judgment when He asks me, what have you done with that? And say, well, Allah, I've given to the best of my ability when I heard my brothers and sisters in distress. And remember the hadith of the Prophet ﷺ, the son of Adam cannot move his feet. لا تزول قدما ابن آدم يوم القيامة عند ربي حتى يسأل عن خمسة. 5 things he has to do. He's not going to move his foot. You're not going to move an inch, a foot, a centimeter, a millimeter until 5 things Allah asked him. And one of those things, the 5th thing, is what have you done? What did you do about something that you know about? So you know that there's people in distress and you did nothing about it, okay, you'll be answerable. Moving on from this moral obligation. So what was the reason, the motivation behind this research? I was watching a channel, satellite channel. Am I allowed to mention which one it is? Yeah, Islam channel. Right? I was watching that, and there was a fundraiser, and it was after Salat al-Taraweeh. I remember it's in Ramadan, and there were people raising funds. I'm not going to tell you from which organization or who the person was. So they were raising money, and you had a caller call in, and the intention of the caller was to do nothing but to harass the people who were raising money. And this wasn't once, twice, but this was kind of like a recurring a theme of people just trolling other people and just making their lives a bit more difficult than what it is. And in this particular show, the one of the fundraising was the director of the organization, the director of funding. He lost his cool, okay, and he just burst out in a fit of rage at the caller, and he said, "Look, if you can do it, and you can do a better job than what we can, and you can do it for free, then why didn't you come and just do it?" Right? So that's what it was, and said, "You know what? This needs addressing." So as I said, my applied jurisprudence, right? So this is a problem, and we know that there is a problem because there's a lot of rumbling, talking, discussion about admin costs within charity organizations, and then how does that apply? Or what does the books of fiqh say about this? So that was the motivation or the reason or the story behind this particular research.
Okay, so mashallah, you obviously saw an issue and you saw, okay, we need to do some research about this then. So how did you go about it? What were the first sort of steps that you did? Because it is a big claim to say, yeah, we have 100% donation policy. So who's paying for your time? And how are you going to possibly sustain this moving forward?
Yeah. So there's 2 parts, if you like, to this research. Okay, number 1, an investigation and analysis of the books of fiqh. So the question is look, the principal factor is this: is it permissible to take money that was given as charity for administration purpose, and to put it bluntly, because that's how it's said, somebody's wages? Right? So I'm giving you now £5, £10 to give it to the poor, and you've taken £1.50 from that £5 for whatever your costs are, okay, and you delivered just £3.50 to the poor. Okay, so what does the books of fiqh say about that? So that was one part of the actual investigation. And the second thing was, well, how does this whole 100% donation policy work? So the first thing I wanted to find out was, okay, who else from the community has an issue with this? So is it just a Muslim phenomenon, or is it kind of like also other communities also concerned about the same thing? The cost of high cost of administration, or the administration cost, is a concern amongst other people as well. Okay, and other people have questioned it, and even the Public Accounts Committee, if I've got the right acronym, the government basically wanted to put a limit on what charities can do and spend in terms of the administration. I don't think it's going anywhere, but they did make an attempt to do that. So there are some rumblings about very high administration costs. But you can't shy away from the fact that there are going to be some costs. There are going to be some costs. So administration costs, when we look at the Sharia, what does it say? And then why do organizations need to do it? And how do some organizations claim that they don't take an administration cost? So that was the kind of like the research questions that I wanted to kind of answer in this, and hopefully shed an issue. And then the British Muslim community needs to be educated, right? If they don't know about it, then they kind of like won't know how to respond to it. So there is this donor education that's required.
Yeah. So again,
how do you go about it?
No, I understand how you went about it.
Yeah.
You dissected it. You
Yeah.
looked at the fiqhi
Yeah.
issue with it to see is it first of all jaiz, is it permissible for them to take an administration cost, and then if so, to what extent?
Yeah.
So if you can just open that up just for the general
Brilliant.
public then, because I understand back in the days, you know, people who were collecting zakat on behalf of the state, they were able to take something out, or they were paid by the state to carry out that duty in it.
Yeah.
So how did you translate that to modern day?
Yeah, I mean, look, if Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, the creator of the universe, who revealed the Quran to Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, instituted that a portion of zakat money can be used to pay for the worker, a zakat worker, because Allah, for His wisdom, knows that for this institution to survive and for this institution to be effective and deliver what it needs to do, it needs people who administrate the zakat. That's what workers are. Amilina aliyah. That's what it means. Okay, people who would administrate the zakat. Those, and it includes all peoples who are engaged in the administration. Okay, not only the collector, but those people who are stuck in the office, those people who are handling calls, all these people who are in any shape or form engaged in zakat administration in our contemporary world, all fall in the same category. So if Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said that zakat, administration cost for zakat, okay, can be taken from zakat money. If you look at waqf, where the person who is in charge of maintaining or looking after the waqf has the right, okay, an entitlement to take a wage for looking after it. These are established things in fiqh. And then we come with this wishful idea that we can kind of like deliver aid in a very complicated world without incurring administration costs, I think is a fanciful idea. And I think Muslims need to just kind of like mature up a bit more and be, unless I really, again, I say this, if people don't need to take a wage and they can survive, I can't. I need a wage because the reality of my life is I need to put food on my table, pay my bills, and I would imagine the same with you. So if that's the vast majority of us, okay, then that's the case. If there are people who don't need to do that and they can afford to work and do that without taking a penny, that's brilliant. They should join the charity sector and like show how it's done.
Okay, mashallah. So did you like engage with these charity organizations? And if you did, were they very forthcoming?
Oh dear! Right now we've
you don't have to name or shame anybody.
I won't. Look, as I said, look, the research is undergoing peer review. So there's a process before it gets published, where I have to prove, the researcher has to prove that this is done at a particular standard. It's robust. It's rigorous. It's a proper research, and only when that has gone through that process would the journal publish it. So it's still undergoing peer reviews. It's not, once it's published, it'll be on our website, and people can look at it and make their own minds. And it's got the names of the organizations I did contact. I'm not going to mention it in this podcast, inshallah. And again, it's not to attack or criticize them. It's just my encounter with them. So what happened? Golly, here we are. you bring back memories you want. I've been traumatized from this experience, right? So, right, you know,
This is what we do over here. We relive past trauma over here, right? And we overcome it. So let's do this.
So, so you got the fixed side. Now it's the data which I need from the actual organizations. So it wasn't anything rigorous. It was going on to Google and say, right, well, who's doing this 100% donation policy? Typed it in, boom. Okay, I had a handful, and a handful means very, very few. I chose 4. Okay, ones that do it. So then I highlighted that these are going to be the subjects of my research. Okay, so I need to contact them and get the information from them. So I did, and so my first was to phone them. Okay, and that was kind of encountered with a lot of kind of like hostility.
Okay.
Yeah.
You're challenging them. You're saying you're making a claim that you're doing a 100% donation policy. Talk to me about it.
Yeah. So, like, you know, I wouldn't use the word challenge. It was just like, I need some information. I'm doing a research about this. I just need this information. These are questions. All I just want, basically, is it's simple, right? How much what was your income, your revenue, year this, year that, for 3 years? And how much from that did you spend? And how much from that did you use on admin cost, right? And then how did you cover your admin costs? Very simple question, right?
And you're
Justified your claim.
And you're asking very nice,
yes,
charitable people, right, who are there to serve the community, okay?
Yeah.
So I'm surprised that you were met with such hostility.
Yeah, it was. It wasn't. I think of it. People were kind of like a bit rude to me over the phone. Yeah, and some people, and I have to say, some people weren't. But they said, you know what, brother, we will get back to you. We'll get back to you, and they didn't.
Okay.
And each time I phoned back, nothing. So then it was like the easy way of getting out is like, you need to send us an email, which is fine. You know, you want it written down, which is fine. I wrote it, sent an email, okay, and then emailed the person again and again, no response. So it was like I was really given the cold shoulder, if you like. So that wasn't going. So then I wrote to the head or the CEO of these respective organizations. That was ignored. So even to the right, to the top, they just completely ignored it. They could have wrote back and say, right, you know, we could have written back and said, you know, thank you very much for the letter, but, you know, we don't want to answer these questions. They didn't, just ignored it. Then what I did is I wrote to the chair of the trustees of each of these organizations. Said, this is what it is. I'm making a formal complaint to you. But this is what I'm asking. Okay, I would like a response. Again, you want to say something?
Finish it off, because I want to know, was it the same response from all 4 of these organizations?
They ignored me.
Okay.
Only one. After I raised it to the chair of trustees, only one got back to me. Right? And so he instructed the worker. He said, look, I've received this letter. This needs to be responded. So they gave, so the whole research, I couldn't scrutinize it, but scrutinize only one organization, the claims of one organization. So that was the kind of response, but it took me, what is it, 2025? It took me almost 2 years. No, more than that. Yeah, no, 3 years. Because it's going back and forth, I couldn't find anything. And if I didn't have data to analyze, what am I supposed to say in my research? It was going back and forth, and it was a long process. But eventually got there and managed to analyze the data.
From one organization?
Only from one organization. Look, I don't want to come to a conclusion. Listeners, viewers, and readers of my research can make their own conclusion if why they didn't respond. And these were recorded deliveries, so they can't say, you know what, we didn't receive it. I sent it by recorded delivery, right? So I covered all grounds. I did email, phone calls, recorded delivery, begging letters, not 1, 2, but 3, 4. Okay, and after I failed in all response, then I escalated it to the CEO. After the CEO wasn't responding, then I escalated to the chair of trustees and said, I've done what I could now. Okay, so there's no excuse for them to say that they didn't receive it. I can guarantee you they received it. All of them received it, because you check online and they received it.
It's really sad, because, you know, people, you know, they're placing themselves in a position of trust ultimately. they're making these big claims. I mean, they could have turned around and said, look, for every £5 that you're going to pay us, £1's going to go towards our administration costs. We would have been happy with that. We would have said, listen, of course, this is your God-given right.
Right.
Yeah, to take that.
Yeah.
Please take
Yeah.
it. Take £1.50 if you
need.
must.
Absolutely.
Right? As long as whatever you're telling us is going to get to where it needs to go.
Right.
But now you've turned around and saying, no, we don't even need that. We're going to do a 100% donation, right? First of all, what was the need for that claim? Are you in competition with another charity? Do you want to bring them all that custom towards yourself? And if it's a 100% donation policy, you shouldn't have a problem with somebody going to somebody else because you've got no overhead costs of your own anyways, or you've got other ways of doing it. But now that you made it, come on, dudes.
Well, see, look, again, wallahi, I'm not, and I don't want anybody to understand this. I'm not questioning the integrity, the honesty of these organizations. I'm not saying they're dishonest. But what I'm trying to say is this: that the information that they were given to us wasn't very forthcoming. There was an attempt to conceal the activities, and even the one organization which did give the information, it just didn't stack up. So if they say, look, we spent X millions of pounds on admin cost, and they've got, say, 60, 70 employees, you divide this 2 million by the thing, and you go on just the wages, gives an average wage of £29,000. Now, not everybody's going to work on that wages. And that's just going on wages for 70 people, right? I didn't take into consideration all the other running costs, rent, rates, bills, nothing else I've taken, just on wages. So look, I don't know how they do it. It just didn't stack up. It just didn't add up. And then the other thing is the smoke screen that's on that the claim of 100% donation policies. It's your donation policy. Sorry, it's unavoidable. The moment you give money from my account to the charity's account, do you understand? The charity has been charged a small amount of money for the processing of this money. And some people might pay an extra bit to cover it. Vast majority don't. So that's that. Now, when they transfer this money to another, there's money. Then they've got the logistics part of it. In no shape or form, in no step of this process, is it money-free and fee-free. So some organizations, which is that I found the most ironic thing, said, look, it's 100% donation policy. But you know what? I've raised money for, let's just say, the Congo or Chad, Mali, okay? But I don't have the infrastructure, the capacity to deliver this money. But I've got £1 million now in my bank account raised for the Chad project, right? So now I'm looking for a third-party charity who can deliver aid in Chad because I can't do it. So what happens now? I say to you, can you deliver £1 million worth of charity in Chad, please? And say, of course I can. But I'm not going to do that for free.
Exactly.
Oh, that's fine. We'll give you an admin cost. We'll give you some money to deliver that. So you paid administration cost. Look here it is. Look, here it is. Look, if people think that this is possible, a simple test they can find to see if this is possible. So during Ramadan, I don't give my sadaqatul fitr to any of these organizations. That's my next research, okay? Spoiler alert. Okay, that's my next one to look into what they do, the sadaqatul fitr. So I give that directly to Bangladesh. And I ask my friends and family, would anybody else like to give their sadaqatul fitr? Okay, so whatever amount they give, whatever amount it is, £5, right? Get that, and then I transfer that money to Bangladesh, right? Now, when it converts to taka, okay, the local currency, what happens now, it comes to just say 853 taka and 50 pesos.
Okay.
How do you think the person at the other end in Bangladesh is going to deliver that, is going to get that money in 553 takas and 50 pence? So do you know what I have to do?
Put in an additional...
Exactly what I do. From my own pocket, which I'm not mine, I'm not complaining, alhamdulillah. I round it off. If it's 800, 900 takas. Okay? And I said, right, go that and give that to... So even in the, and I've just collected about say 30 tops, 40 maximum, 50 impossible. But anyway, that's how it is. Nothing more than that. And yet that costs me money. So how anybody can claim they can do this without incurring costs is beyond me. Is beyond me. Yeah.
Look, it's a big claim to make. So, okay, then, alhamdulillah, you've done the research, you tried to reach out to them. Okay, it wasn't as fruitful as you would have liked. People weren't as forthcoming as you would have liked, and as we would have all would have liked to have hoped. Because, I'm not going to lie, there's certain charities where I would donate to only because I would say, are they 100% donation policy? For some reason, it just turns into like a thing. Now I'm looking at it thinking, how is that even possible? Of course, right? But in my naivety over the years, I would fall for it.
Right. Golden words. Fall for it, right? So that's what it is. So that's what the title of my research was. Is it really corporate altruism? Were they doing it because, you know what, I'm rich and I can do it and I'm not going to take any money from you. I'm just going to go and do it. Or is it a marketing ploy? So remember, it's a very, very busy sector this has become now. So everybody's now kind of like competing to get the attention of the donor. So now when you're telling me, look, I won't take any administration costs. Just look at it this way. Give me your £5. I'm going to take your £5 and give it to the poor. And I'm saying to the same donor, look, give me your £5. I'm going to take £1.50 for my administration costs, and I'm going to give that poor man £3.50. Which one do you think he's going to choose? Obviously, he's going to choose you. Because on a human level, on just a logical and just a human level, your one sounds more tempting. The only question is, well, are you able to do it?
Yeah.
Are you able to do it? Right? So £5, yeah, easily. 5,000? 500,000? 5 million? Really? You think you can handle those sums of money without incurring some kind of cost? Good luck.
There's a lot of horror in that, you know what I mean? Like, to say the least, like, come on. I mean, we need to be a bit more open. Okay, so then what's the answer to that then?
Well, I think, wallahi, I don't mean to say this in a patronizing way, and I hope viewers don't take it in a patronizing way. I think donor maturity is required. If Allah has said in the Quran that an administration cost is a valid, and if you're Shafi'i in fiqh, okay, then it has to be a 1/8 of zakat thing has to be spent on zakat administrators. Otherwise, and even you giving your zakat money must be equally kind of like split amongst these 8 groups of people. Otherwise, your zakat hasn't been discharged. So what I'm saying is that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has put that as an institution, and for us to now think otherwise is very immature. So we need to mature up as donors, and we need to. Here's the problem. That's for me is the biggest problem, and that's probably my tendency. I don't get why people would want to climb up Mount Snowdonia and ask me for £10. Well, I'm going to do a marathon. Give me £10 for the charity. Mate, you don't have to do that, brother. Here's £10. I'm going to give you to a cause. Just say that this is the cause I want to give, and I'll give if I can. And I receive daily some messages, okay, saying something. Not everything I can contribute, but I try my best. Even if it's £1, I give what I can, right, just to support them. So I think the maturity is required. So here's the thing: if you need to ask yourself, why are you giving this sadaqah? That's the first thing you need to ask yourself. Why are you giving sadaqah? If your intention of giving sadaqah is that I want this £5 to go to this poor man, that's my intention. That's your intention then. My intention isn't that. And your intention shouldn't be that. Your intention should be, I am giving £5 or whatever money in the path of Allah to seek the pleasure of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Once you've got that in your mind, and I want that thawab, once you've got that in your mind, hey dude, you've done your bit. Right? You've done your bit. You've given your money and you saw Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's pleasure. Right? And you're going to get the thawab for it. You've got what you want to do. That is the maqsad of giving sadaqah fi sabilillah. Not that the 100% is going to get to that, because it never does. It doesn't matter which organization say, okay, that £5 that you give never, ever, ever reaches the hands of the poor.
And Allah doesn't need that. He doesn't need it. He doesn't need that
It's
full
impractical.
£10 to go there. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala can make it happen if He wants it to. He just wants to see, are you going to step up?
Right.
Right?
100%. You've got it now.
Yeah.
Okay? You're spot on now. That's what it is.
Yeah.
Who responds to the call of those people who are destitute? Who responds to the call when an appeal of charity is made? Who? That's what Allah wants to see.
This is why I don't
It's not
get...
the amount you give. It never is about the amount.
Yeah, this is why I don't get, like, sometimes, you know, because I live by Ladypur roadsides, right? And every week, you know, every Saturday, there's a whole army of, you know, like charity workers, and they're out there with their buckets, and they're doing their, you know, their guilt trip, right? Saying, brother, please, you know, donate to Palestine, and donate and donate and donate. And they're like, I'm like, okay, bro, you know, I've done what I could do now. Do you know what I mean? It's like, why is it that every time I'm walking down the street now, I'm being made to feel guilty, right, for not giving it? It's like, okay, I never put it in your bucket, but how do you know I just put it in somebody else's bucket up the street?
Right.
But they're just there, they're just like demanding it. That's another thing, right? So remember I said I might want to go off a bit. Let's just go off a bit now, right? And then we'll come back in, because I've got very few questions left about this. I've got my own bone to pick with the charity sector, right?
Okay.
Number one is, I'm always a firm believer, right, that the end does not justify the means, right? So your end goal is to, you know, save a poor Palestinian family, you know, in Gaza or in Syria, right? That doesn't mean that you can do whatever the hell you want to get that done.
That's right.
Like they do, like charity. Okay, the car washes I don't mind. The bake sales I don't mind, right? But you know, like these mixed events that they have in regards to like charity events to come and bring your families and sit around a round table, right? You're putting a lot of people from different backgrounds into one room, right? And you got like somebody singing the sheets, and you got music playing, and this, that, and the other. I don't know how you feel about it, Sheikh, but me, I'm very uncomfortable with that. I wouldn't want to take my wife and my kids, right, to go to one of those events, knowing that there's going to be a next man with his family sitting, like, you know, no less than, you know, a meter away from me. That's going against my Islamic principles.
Yeah, I mean, look, it comes out of the whole argument of ikhtilat, of free mixing. So how do you define that? That's where it comes from. So it depends how you define it and how you look at it. So the stricter you are in your interpretation of ikhtilat, or free mixing, the conclusion would be of a stricter one, and the more lenient one that you will take, it will come out with a more lenient outcome. But yeah, look, I think, when things are done, it should be done in good taste. There are some seriously questionable activities that take place, and again, I don't want to think it's not for me. Okay, it's not for me. As I said, I try to do as much as I can. Each time I get an appeal, whatever I can. I think there's two, and I said, inshallah, I will give. So I will kind of like fulfill that.
Yeah. So okay, fair enough. I understand. It's a very diplomatic answer, mashallah, you've given over there, and I appreciate that. I'm just a little bit more raw, I guess, right? Then you know these boxing events. Right, I'm gonna go and punch the next man in the face, and you're gonna pay put some money. It just doesn't go in it.
No.
It just doesn't go. Okay, so those are one things. So it's the way how you're going about raising that money, right? Like you said, it's got to be in good taste.
Yes.
I really like that.
Yeah.
Right. So do your charity raising, but do it in good taste. Sit with the scholar. Say, listen, I'm thinking about this. Right. We've got good intentions. We want to raise some money for a good cause. You know, can I set people up wearing shorts, punching each other in the ring, and get everybody to cheer about it? The guys on turn around and say, listen, maybe you need to reevaluate that a little bit, right? There's that one. The other thing, right, is I don't like is how they take advantage of our sisters in this field, because I've seen it where you've got sisters now going from car to car with a bucket, right, and saying, please donate, brother, and they're like, you know, mashallah, the sisters doing it in good intentions, but the CEO behind it, who's hiding them, I don't know, man. What's your intention behind that?
Yeah, I'll tell you what it is. If you in Ramadan, just if you haven't spotted it, just try to look out for it. when they call you for donations, etc., from these different organizations, you'll find that 99% of the time it's going to be a system.
Exactly.
Why? Because they find that male donors are more inclined to give if it's a female asking. And like, you know, that might be what the data shows, but it doesn't work with me. Because I can khairan my sister for phoning. If I can give, I will give. If I can't, I can't. For example, Qurbani, I've done my Qurbani, I've given it. I'm sorry, you know, thank you so much for phoning. Goodbye.
I get vexed, you know, especially when a sister comes up to me. I'm like, what are you doing?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I'm not even supposed to be looking at you, right? And you're coming in my face, right? Saying, oh, brother, come on, you know, in your nice tone. Nah, because I've got girls,
Yeah.
right? Myself, daughters at home.
Correct.
I would love for them to do something with themselves, to contribute to society, you know, to advance, whether it's in education, whether it's contribute positively. I would love for them to be involved in some sort of charitable work.
Yeah.
But there's a way of going about it, and there's an extent.
You're right. You're right. That's it. I mean, you know, we are the boundaries and borders of that, and I think, you know, that's what needs to be understood. But again, it has to be in society. You'll find people are of a different kind of level in terms of the spiritual connection to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So those who are more connected to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala want to avoid that, and those people are less connected to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. For them, they don't see that as much of a problem. And
okay, I get it. You're a charity
and I'm
worker.
not endorsing it. So.
Yeah, I get it. You're a charity worker. You've got this feeling, you know, you want to do good for humanity, right? But at least get a little bit of Islamic education behind you and say, and you know, you're asking for people's zakat money. You're asking for people's for sadaqatul fitr. You're asking for people to donate to a sadaqah jariyah project, whether it's a water well in Mozambique or whether it's a borehole system in Gambia or whatever, right? MashaAllah. MashaAllah. But have you done any sort of research? Do you know that the means that you're trying to achieve this goal, is it jais? Is it permissible? You know, because I do counseling sessions over here, yeah? So we have like, I had this one case, a charity worker is coming in now, and you know, his wife's complaining that he doesn't give me any time, right? And he's saying, I'm out there, you know what, I'm doing all this charity work and I'm feeding, you know, kids in Syria and this time, the other. And I said, listen, that's your farz-e-kifaya you're fulfilling over here. This at home is your farz, right? So there's a big difference between you sacrificing your farz for your farz-e-kifaya.
Very good.
You know what I mean?
Very good.
And I'm like, what's the thing? And then again, you're going with the ghair mahrams. There's a group of 10, 15 of you going. You're not related to them from Adam, right? And all of a sudden now you're going to be holding hands and singing Kumbaya, you know, from here to whether it's, you know, Syria or whatever it is that you're doing. Brother, there's a reason why Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gave us, you know, the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam told us that on the day of judgment, it's going to be the scholar, the mujahid and the charity worker who's going to be standing in front of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is going to one by one flick them into the fire of Jahannam. We're in a very precarious situation over here, and you got to know your stuff.
No, you're right. You're right. These things do need addressing. I think one of the things that, Keith, good points that you made was, you know, these Islamic organizations, to what extent are they Sharia compliant? You know, and that's a big question. I think that's a whole different topic for a whole different day. And it's shocking how, I think it's a lot with more having the name Islam or Islamic rather than its essence.
Yeah, I don't know. Like I said, I just had those couple of things that was niggling me, and I'm glad that, alhamdulillah, I've had the opportunity to address them now. Alhamdulillah. No, I feel a bit better.
Good.
You know, thank you for that therapy session.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean? So yeah, Sheikh, look, you mentioned right at the beginning, we understand that this work needs to be done. We take our hats off to them, right? MashaAllah. You're doing something that not everybody can do. But be a bit more honest in your transactions. Be straight up, right? You are doing a job that not everybody can do. Get paid for it. Take it and say, listen, I'm doing this, and the only way I can continue to do this and sustain my family and pay my bills and put food on the table, you know, and cover our overheads and our rent and our phone charges and all of this stuff is cost money. We understand that. Take your God-given right and do it in the right way. Sheikh, last two questions then. We call it a day.
Thank you.
You know, I hope it hasn't been too
No, it was very,
too
very
difficult.
No, alhamdulillah.
Right. Right. So, what advice would you give to people who are now about to set up a charity? For me, for example,
Okay.
I see people who are doing it. I don't like the way going about doing it, and I've concept the thought has cropped up in my mind as well. Why don't you just do it yourself? So let's just say somebody now who's planning on setting up a charity. What advice would you give them?
I would say don't.
Subhanallah.
Okay, and I'll tell you why. Look, I think there are so many. Unless you're a niche charity,
Yeah.
okay, who is like really focused on something. For example, I do charitable work when I go to Bangladesh and my annual visits there, and I try to do what little I can do. That's different, as it just has a very kind of like a very focused look on what I like to help people with, in particular their homes and housing. If it was to establish a full-fledged, or hoping to aspire to be a full-fledged humanitarian relief charity, I would say, look, questions, do we need one?
Yeah.
And I think there are so many in the United Kingdom who are doing a good job. And I think we need to support them. think we need to make them better, make them more effective, make them more accountable, make them more transparent. And I think if we kind of like with the organization that we have now, if they can be stronger and better, more productive, we don't need more. And that's my question. Those people who want to start a new one, do we really need one? Because look, people find out that delivering these aid isn't as easy as one might think. It's very complicated and it's very expensive.
Of course, yeah.
And when you start with one, you'll learn pretty fast how difficult and how complicated and how expensive it is. Okay, so again, I would say, anybody thinking of trying to set up their own charity, ask yourself this question: do you really need it?
Yeah. Support one that's already been established.
That's what I would say.
I think that's a
Yeah.
very appropriate answer, mashallah. And lastly, somebody now who wants to donate, somebody who wants to give, what sort of checks do they need to do, if any, and what's their vetting procedure should be like, before donating to anybody?
Me personally, I wouldn't discourage anybody to give money to any organization. I believe that there are some strong points and some advantage and some good points and some negative points about all organizations. But I firmly believe from the bottom of my heart that all these organizations do a wonderful job. So if there is a particular appeal that they like, it's something close to their heart, or they really like it, they should just give to that charity. And something for me is work in Africa. I think from the global Muslim world, I think we're so neglectful of our brothers and sisters in Africa. And each time you can go check up all these organizations, okay, if you see how much they raise for India, Bangladesh, and Pakistan, and then compare it to what they raise for our brothers and sisters in Africa, oh my gosh, it's embarrassing. So me personally, I would like to focus a bit more on Africa. If there's an appeal that comes for Africa and I can give, I'm more eager to give to that. I know in other parts of the world, there's so much money going there. If I had a choice between those two, that's why I do go for the more Africa-based one than the Asian one. But I said, there's no charity that I would say, please don't give to them. I would look for those people, those organizations who focus on being more Sharia compliant. And there's one organization who is really working hard to be above board and kind of like, have this Sharia compliance and a board of scholars looking at their issues and making sure that what they do is Sharia compliant. So they set up the board. It's just a matter of time before it's formalized and etc. So I would suggest people who actually have the board. There's other organizations, they claim that they have a board, but if you pick up the phone and ask them who's on your board, they'll name kind of like
my mate Dave.
Well, they'll mention some scholars, okay, but the thing is, how active are these people in your
Yeah.
family? Not really. They more for namesake rather than anything else. But yeah.
You know, Sheikh, Jazakumullah khair for your
Hayyakumullah.
insight. I think it's very valuable. I'm sure the viewers will have definitely have had experience with similar issues like this in the past, and hopefully now they've got a bit more of an idea of, you know, what's actually going on below surface level. MashaAllah. Jazakumullah khair. Guys, as we mentioned before, if you're a charity worker, this wasn't a punch at you or a dig at you. MashaAllah, you're doing a great job. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala protect you and preserve you and allow you to continue your hard and honest work, inshallah. And there's no shying away from it. The ummah is in need, right, at this moment in time. You just pick up your phone and you're seeing, you know, horrific images coming in from all over the place, whether it's Gaza, whether it's Syria, whether it's the Uyghur Muslims who are, you know, affected in China. We need, you know, they need our support. Let's try and support them, you know, to the best way we can, inshallah ta'ala. And even our grassroots levels, as Sheikh alluded to earlier, you know, there's organizations out there that are putting in a lot of work, you know, when it comes to academic research, Islamic research, trying to make Islam great again, right? And trying to bring this field of education and revive this the science of education and research, inshallah, on our own doorstep. Ibn Rushd is local to Birmingham, right? We're going to put their link and everything here in the description below. If you've got £1 to spare, please do donate generously and keep in touch. And anytime they're running an organizational event, anything going on, come and volunteer, inshallah. We'll be more than happy to have you there. I look forward to seeing you, inshallah, in the next episode. Jazakumullah khair. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.